is up, I'll just get back into pre-production on that. But in the meantime, I'm here. I'm at home. I'm in lockdown like everybody else, and trying to get a. This is my makeshift gym. I don't know if you can see it. There it is.
Okay.
I stole those weights off my son. I was like, buddy, you got to give them up. This is my executive order. I'm taking them. So I'm just waiting it out like everybody else.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Okay, you guys, so we were not live a second ago, but we are live now. Just kidding.
What? So are we really live now?
We really are. We really are. Yes.
I was telling you, I didn't see anything come up, so I was wondering. Oh, so we got to do all this again. Hey, cut, cut, take two,
Take two.
take two. You ready? I see you now. I see you on there. Hey,
No one's gonna know this is take two. Ready, go.
good,
Oh
good
my gosh,
morning,
you
good
guys.
afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone out there in Facebook land. My name is Chief Master Sergeant Louis Reyes. I'm the Senior Listened Advisor for the Exchange. Today we have a special guest, but before I get to him, I just wanted to take a moment to introduce my co-hosts, Julie Mitchell and Leah Matthews. How you ladies doing?
Hey,
Good.
good, Chief,
Hey.
good.
Hey,
Good.
hey. So Julie, tell us a little bit about who's on, who's our special guest. Please
We,
introduce.
you got it, sir. We have a super special guest with us today. And in fact, Leah and I, we go live from our Facebook fairly often. And this is the first time we have ever had a special guest, except for you, Chief. But super glad to have this wonderful person with us today. He is the real deal. He's all in for warfighters and veterans. People know him from his work like Saving Private Ryan, Pacific Rim, 13 Hours, and his most recent movie, Sergeant Will Gardner. We're going to talk a little bit about that and how you guys can see it too. He's also been on your small screen. He's been in The Unit, The Purge, NCIS Los Angeles. Please help us welcome actor Max Martini, a big supporter of warfighters and veterans.
Great intro.
Woo!
Yay!
Thanks for having me.
Hey Max, thank you so much for coming on. I know you're busy and your schedule permits you to come on here. So thank you on behalf of the service members, the military families, and the veterans. Thank you so much. We're honored to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Awesome. And for everybody who's watching, if you want to drop us a note in the comments, thank Max for his time. If you also have any questions, we'll address those a little bit later and have a
Hey,
discussion.
we're getting comments saying the volume is super low.
Okay. I don't know. Can you guys hear us now?
Hey, could you hear us out there now? Is it louder? Super low. One says I can't hear anything. Poor Riley saying no sound. Super low volume.
For all of us?
Leah, I can hear. I just turned it up on my phone. I can hear just fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on, but that's what they're saying. But it
Yeah,
says
so we're pretty.
we sound like Charlie Brown's parents.
We really are live.
Well, I guess we're live. That would.
We really
Okay.
are
It's
live.
better.
Just
Somebody
So
said it's
everyone
better.
says it's better
Right.
now. There we go.
They said
Okay.
it's better.
Awesome. Good deal.
Yes, so if you're watching, let us know where you're watching from, and if you have any questions for Max.
Or do you want to tell us about your technical challenges?
Yes.
Just kidding. So we'll go ahead and kick it off. Max, you have such a rich history of portraying service members. Does your family have a history of service, or what about any of your friends?
Well, I have a lot of friends that have served or are serving, and as far as my family goes, my mother was in law enforcement, and my grandfather was in the military. My father's from Italy; he was in the Italian military in the Navy.
Oh, that's cool.
And and then I have an uncle in law enforcement. So in some sort of law enforcement military capacity, there's been members of my family involved. So yeah, there's a little bit of a history there.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Hey Max, so as an actor, you've been able to step into the shoes as acting like someone of our nation's heroes, some of our nation's heroes. What's that like portraying a military member on screen? Do you have assistants? Do you have, how does that work out for you?
Yeah, I mean, we generally, they put you through some kind of a training. And that's for me. That's kind of the best part. I mean, I love making the movie, but the training I really love. So for instance, like 13 Hours, we went to a facility in California, and worked with a lot of guys that were former contractors, GRS guys, team guys. We did a lot of tactical training. We did some CQB, a lot of we had shooting contests. I mean, we do everything. We do everything from the work to the fun of it, and then there's the opportunity to talk to the guys that you're playing and that you're portraying. If you're not familiar with the military, some of these actors aren't. I am, but a lot of guys come in and they don't. It's maybe their first time, or they don't know how to handle a weapon, or so that we got to get them squared away. I end up doing a little instructional work myself nowadays.
You have the advantage. You've been trained already.
But I love it. I'm a little bit of a gun guy, so I get out to the range and do some training every now and again.
Awesome. So it sounds like you love what you do. What's been your favorite role, Max?
That's such a difficult question. Oh my God.
Well, it sounds like you like military roles, right?
Yeah. Well, it's not all that I play, but I guess my fans are largely military, so something's going right. It's not broken. Let's put it that way. But I did love the unit. I really love the unit because I love that character, and the thing that stood out for me with Matt Gerhardt was that not only was he a badass downrange, but he was somebody that what was interesting for me is that he had struggles. He was coping with, or trying to cope with a lot of the same issues that soldiers returning from combat are coping with today. So it's still coping with today, and so that made that character very real for me. I think sometimes you watch soldiers on TV or in the movies, and there's a disconnect because there's a couple ways to approach playing a soldier. You either jump in your digis and you bark orders, and that's the extent of it, or you bring some humanity to that character. And I think they gave me the opportunity to do that. And so, so Mac was a fun part to play, and also Oz in 13 Hours. That was a cool project in that, it was a true story, and there was information in that movie that I wasn't privy to, that I think a lot of people weren't aware of. Maybe I followed the media coverage of that, and there were things that I didn't know. For instance, anyway. So let's not go. But anyway, but playing, Bart Geist, who was at my side during the filming of that, made it challenging and a lot of fun for me, and to do honor to his efforts in Benghazi, and that was a mess. So those two shows.
Good. Another question for you, Max. Can you share what the military community means to you?
What the military community means to me, I have such a huge amount of respect and admiration, and just for what our military does for this country. I mean, it's from what they do for my kids all the way, expanded out into the country in this amazing, place that we live in called the United States of America. So I'm a patriot. Without our military, we'd be living in a much different place. I am so grateful that there are people out there on the front lines protecting our freedom and our liberty as Americans, and it's humbling, and I think that something that I would have loved to have done, and I say this in interviews all the time, but I really would have loved to have enlisted, and because it's so honorable. So to those that have served and that are serving, thank you.
Can you talk to us a little bit about Sergeant Will Gardner? I understand that you wrote, directed, produced, and starred in that film, and that it was an independent project, and your passion really, really came through in that role and in that film. Can you talk a little bit about why it was so special for you, and then where people can see the movie now, and kind of what the key takeaways for people should be from that film?
Oh man. Okay. Well, so the movie, I started writing it during the unit, and I had gone to the Middle East a couple times. I had just an incredibly life-changing experience over there, and so I wanted to do something to give back. I didn't want to make a movie that was about soldiers, just a soldier suffering, but more that was about the healing process and inspiring, soldiers that have come out on the other side of that to help their fellow veterans that are struggling and do something really positive, and then in addition to that, I wanted to get profits to 3 charities that I support in a big way. So in my mind, look, I struggled a little bit with the idea of making a documentary versus making a movie. I thought there was a bigger reach with a film, with a movie, with a story, a fictional story, and so I opted to do that, and in that I had to find some comedy. I had to because you have to make it entertaining, right?
Sure.
And so, I wanted to show somebody a character that was at the absolute worst place that he had been in his life, and show him coming back from that. So when you find my character, he's displaced, he has emotional and physical injuries, he's lost his son, he's lost his family, and then it's all about that journey to kind of reassemble his life as it was pre-combat. So the movie is, there's a great driving cause behind it. The charities that we support are changing lives. They're incredible, and the direct messages that I get, from people that have gone through the process. Like for instance, Warriors Heart is one of my buddy's charities. That's just an incredible facility that is working with law enforcement and military with substance abuse and PTS and TBI, and I just have firsthand testimonies from people that have gone through the process there, and it's very touching. So these are the charities that I'm supporting. The movie's available on Amazon and iTunes. If you haven't seen it, please don't watch it on Netflix. That doesn't help our cause. Go to Amazon or iTunes and purchase it.
Okay.
And support the efforts. It's a good movie. The veterans have embraced it in a big way. I'm really proud of it. And there's some great people in it. Gary Sinise is in it, who everybody knows. Dermot Mulroney, big star. Robert Patrick from the unit. So we got a good cast of characters.
I enjoyed it. I watched it, and I can tell that your passion just really comes across in your role, and gets an important watch. It's a good watch. So I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
I have a question. I noticed in the movie you hit on two topics, right? PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and TBI, traumatic brain injuries. What does that stem from? Why are you focusing on those two? Those one of the 2 topics. There are other areas that you hit on too, but those 2 specifically, where does that stem from?
Well, I mean, there are two injuries that are most prevalent, I think. You know, and for me, you know, I was trying to find a balance, you know, because there's so many things to address that, you know, for instance, alcoholism or you know, drug abuse, or there's, you know, there's veteran suicide. There's so many things, issues that veterans struggle with occasionally when they come back from combat, you know, and so I wanted to kind of touch on each of those things lightly, not dwell on them, but just acknowledge that they exist and then move forward through the story, you know, and so you know, I have friends that are struggling, and so there's you know, they're close to me. It's subject matter that you know, that I care deeply about, and you know, this is a fight that, you know, I have friends that have had incredible experiences with the VA, and then I have some that it's taken a decade to get to their benefits, you know, and I think that until that system is really perfected, that we have to keep attention focused on it, and keep you know, efforts going towards making it better until soldiers come out of combat and it's red carpet treatment. You know, it's everything's accessible and it's not difficult to navigate under those kinds of conditions, those injuries, you know.
Wow, thank you. So, hey, thank you for you know, your part in the fight to help veterans. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Hey, here's a fun question. I missed who asked it, but someone asked, if you ever eaten an MRE? If so, what's your favorite? And you better not say pork patty.
That was from Ken on Facebook.
Okay.
I did eat quite a few MREs making this movie called The Great Raid. And my favorite, oh my God, you know, I got to tell you, honestly, man, I wasn't a fan of the MRE. And I cut a deal with the armorers when I was shooting that movie. So they were shopping for me, and I would low crawl at night to their camp and go eat with them. So the MRE, now that said, you know, I am fully prepared for the apocalypse. And my garage has about 6 years worth of freeze-dried meals that have a 30-year shelf life. So should the need arise, I will be feasting on MREs. But until the time comes, I'm not going to partake.
Well, speaking of, Max, so how are you holding up during this COVID-19 pandemic?
Well, you know, I'm going a little stir crazy. I mean, I'm trying to get, you know, I have a little balcony that I can, you know, I'm not. Here's what I'm doing. To tell you the truth, in all honesty, I found a mountain that is completely deserted. There's a lot of mountains out here in California that have these fire trails, and so I get my dog out and I get out and I go climb the mountain, and it's about 1.5 miles up, 1.5 miles back. So I get a little exercise every day doing that. I stole a bunch of weights off of my son. There's my gym. Isn't that sexy? See, you guys thought Hollywood was living the high life.
Glamorous, right?
Yeah, very glamorous.
Does your personal trainer come to your house?
Yeah, yeah, my personal trainer. No, I do manage to get a workout in, and you know, and I'm just waiting it out like everybody else. I mean, it's I was supposed to do a movie in New Orleans, and it was stopped by the virus, so we're kind of waiting for everything to settle down to get back to work.
Could you tell us about that movie, or is that top secret?
No, I can tell you about it. So it's actually right after Will Gardner, I directed a movie called The Manson Brothers Midnight Zombie Massacre, and it's a hilarious comedy, and it's like Dumb and Dumber meets the zombie apocalypse, but it's with all place mind, great actors, you know, and so we sold that, and It came out great. That'll come out this year. Actually, maybe during this stay-at-home order. So we're kind of hoping to get it to people, while they're at home, streaming their favorite shows. And then the sequel to that, which I was supposed to be doing in New Orleans, is called The Manson Brothers Satanic Vampire Deathmatch, which is basically very attractive female vampires meets these Dumb and Dumber characters. So they're fun movies, and they have a ton of, they're just a ton of laughs. So if those of you that are not following me on Instagram, it's Max Martini LA. I'll be posting about both films when the first one comes out, the second comes out, and all my efforts to help the military.
Thank you. Speaking of the military, Max,
let me say this really quick. Sorry, just to interrupt. So in the Manson, in the first one, there's about a half a dozen veterans in lead roles on camera. There's more off camera on the crew. So we hired a bunch of veterans for that film. We did a charity raffle. We raffled a roll off for charity, for a veteran charity. So that happened on the first one. That went so well that we teamed up with American Airlines and Air Power Foundation on the second one and auctioned off 4 more rolls at a big event that they have at DFW in Dallas. Wow. So my efforts to continue to drive good things to the veteran community are still going on in these other films that I'm doing, these goofball comedies.
That's great.
So just what words of inspiration do you have for our heroes on the front line right now? Anything you want to say to all the military members out there, their families, any words of inspiration that you have, Max?
That's another really difficult question for me because when it comes to expressing my thanks, my gratitude, it's really hard to find the right words, but just thank you for what you're doing. Our country appreciates you. Our country needs you. And without you, this would not be the country that we know as United States of America.
So here at the Exchange, I don't know if you know this, but I'm going to tell you. So we have about 33,000 employees all over the world. And 85% of the people who work for us are connected to the military in some way. So right now we are mission essential. So our stores and restaurants and malls, we're still open during the pandemic. We're still, our folks are still coming to work and still serving during this scary time. What words do you have for our teammates who are out there fighting the good fight against COVID-19?
Oh, just thank you. I mean, it's what you guys are doing. It's such an odd time, and it's such a set of bizarre circumstances that we're actually at war with this kind of invisible enemy, and the bravery that it takes to get out and help our citizens is truly honorable, and thank you. I'm following New York closely because I have connections and family in New York, and it's what our first responders are doing is just exceptional.
Thank you. Hey, Max, Nicolette Trey says a huge thank you to Max for his focus on veteran care. Both my father and my in-law, as well as my stepfather, are still attempting to get veteran benefits. Thanks for working so hard for them.
Oh, you're welcome. Very cool.
Hey, Max, one more question while we're talking about the pandemic. For everybody who's self-isolating, which one of your movies should they watch during this time?
Well, I would say watch Will Gardner, Sergeant Will Gardner, if you haven't seen it. But outside of that, oh my gosh. Well, if you want to not watch me run around in digis, then Pacific Rim is a good one. Pacific Rim was a fun movie, Guillermo del Toro is an amazing director. It's
Mhm.
it's got robots and aliens, and
Yep.
it's a big budget, fun ride for your downtime.
Hey Max, I don't know. I haven't watched these movies, but I heard you were in all 3 of 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, I would pass those by. I'm not.
Sheep.
I don't really open with that, but yeah.
Somebody sent a message, and I was just bringing it up. It was
No, I
true.
mean, the 50 yes, I was in those.
We did get a lot of comments on the original post. We got a lot of comments about the unit and people expressing love for that show.
Yeah, that was a great show. We did 4 years, which ironically, I still have people coming up to me today asking when the next season is, but it's been canceled for 6 years. But it was a fun show, and the military loved it. I mean, we had when we went to the Middle East, we did 2 trips, and it was such a huge success over there. And the guys were like, I mean, we had orchestrated these these dares. Actually, me, I'm kind of a little insight. I can't turn down a dare. If somebody dares something, I have to do it. I have to do it. I can't turn it down. So we would get these dares going. We're like, I would challenge some guy to run. I'd race him up to a sniper's nest and back. And it was there was a big love for the show, and they canceled it too early. I don't know why they pulled it off the air.
Oh.
But we got a good one.
You sure did, absolutely.
Hey Max, I dare you to tell us about your 3 charities. What are the charities that benefit from the movie and that you're a part of, so people out there can listen, maybe look into it?
I thought you were gonna dare him to a push-up challenge, Chief.
I did too. I know.
Yeah, I like that idea.
So watch all the dares start coming in. The 3 charities. So the first one, and probably the closest to connected to the movie, is the Gary Sinise Foundation, because Gary was in the film. They're doing amazing work. They do everything from entertain the troops through his Lieutenant Dan Band, which is great, to build homes for veterans, to outfit homes for veterans with disabilities, and they're really, he's such a force in the veteran community, and a bit of a mentor of mine, and so his foundation is massive, and its reach is massive, and they're just doing amazing stuff. Higher Ground USA is based out of Sun Valley, Idaho. They also have branches in New York and LA. They deal with PTS and TBIs. They use recreational therapy to help veterans, and they're also addressing the homeless veteran situations on both coasts. And lastly, Warriors Heart Foundation is based out of Bandera, Texas. It was started by a buddy of mine that was a special operations soldier, and he started this to assist law enforcement and military. The prerequisite is that you have some sort of a drug and or alcohol substance abuse issue, and then you're accepted into the program, and then they'll deal with PTS and TBIs. But they have a 500-acre ranch in Bandera, Texas that is like a 4 seasons resort, and they truly are giving veterans their lives back that are in need. So 3 amazing, well-vetted charities that if you're looking for someone to support, then these guys are getting money and work to veterans.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So one of the comments on Facebook, Jessica Young, says, "Thank you for taking on such challenging roles in supporting the military community."
Thanks, Jessica. It's my pleasure. It's something that I really love doing. There's a huge difference in my mind, but when somebody comes up to you and they're sort of struck as a fan and when somebody comes up to you and says, thank you for, portraying us properly. Like, thank you for, because like, a lot of veterans, when they express appreciation or they acknowledge me from some movie or something, they'll say, it really shows that you can handle your weapon properly, or it really shows that you've done the work to move tactically in a formation, or that, you're bringing such, whatever humanity to the role, or whatever, these are kind of my focal points when I approach a military role. But that means so much to me, and so playing soldiers has been a real special gift and treat, for me.
Excellent.
We're seeing oh, go ahead, Leah. I'm sorry.
You go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say we're seeing comments come through that saying they love Pacific Rim, they loved you in 50 Shades, that they love your work. So.
No, nice.
A lot of positive comments, but thank you, Max. Thank you for all you're doing for the veteran community. I watched the movie. I'm not going to spoil it for everyone. A very good film. People going to learn a lot from it. Especially taking them through the life of Sergeant Will Gardner. And
oh, nice. Hey, have you guys? This is on an unrelated note. Have you seen? Because I binge watched it last night. Have you seen Tiger King? I may be the last guy to find this show. Have you seen it?
Yes.
Yes.
Carol Baskins.
Wow.
What are your thoughts? No.
What are your thoughts?
I mean, I watched 7 hours of it last night, and it went by like that. I couldn't believe what I was watching.
Oh, gosh.
It's amazing.
I can't believe somebody's actually filming all that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of that footage was because the guy that owned the exotic the strip bars was going undercover. I guess is that.
I thought the producer, everything burned down in that fire, right? Remember that?
Right, but yeah.
But there was somebody else filming behind him.
That's
what I understood.
They did have like a backup sort of in place, right?
That's what I understood. that show was just like, wow, who had the foresight to record that for like 7 years?
How about the animal attacks, and there are a couple of those on there to the lion?
That was crazy.
Yeah.
The lady lost her arm and came back to work 5 days later. She's back at work. I'm
Couple
sorry, that
people missing arms.
arm.
And I totally assumed the guy with no legs got his legs bitten off. So he thinks that. It's not. It didn't happen. It came from
No, that's not.
Oh, by the way, you can get a 900-pound tiger for a couple grand. I didn't know that either.
Cheaper than a dog.
Cheaper than some
Cheaper
dog.
than a
Yes,
dog.
exactly.
So do you have any plans to buy a tiger, Max?
There's a guy in LA that I see all the time that when I go to 7-Eleven is walking a goat. Like there's all kinds.
Oh my
Come
gosh.
out to Hollywood. Come out to Hollywood. There's all kinds of surprises.
Hey,
Max,
we
crazy
have-
question here.
You got it.
Would you consider playing the role of Joe Exotic in a Tiger King film?
I would love to. Oh.
Grow your mullet out.
Hey,
Grow
what
my
would
mullet
your
out.
impersonation? Show us your impersonation. How would you act? How would you act like him?
Oh my gosh.
Joe Exotic.
Yeah, how would you be like Joe? Show us your impersonation.
Oh man, well you'd have to find that southern thing pretty quick.
Your gun on your hip.
I'd have to get my southern voice up. Hold on. I do have if it's quick, I did have a mullet back in the day.
Oh gosh.
Oh, I think this is the first, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to see a mullet of Max Martini. We're going to find out here.
The problem is that with these iPhones is that you end up with 4,000 photographs on them. Oh, here we go.
Oh.
There we go. The big reveal.
You're not wrong.
That's right. That's a full mullet, people.
Hold up, guys. Keep it
Hold
up there
on,
because
keep it up there, yeah.
because everybody else's faces showed up big.
Joe
Don't say
Exotic,
anything.
eat your heart out.
Don't say anything. Let's see. Hold on. Leave it up there, Max.
There we go.
coming in. That's a full.
No, these ladies keep laughing. It doesn't show up.
He's pinned. His image is pinned now.
Oh, it's pinned? All right, good.
That'd be a fun part to play. I'd like to do that.
Could you sing a little bit of "I Saw Tiger, Tiger Saw Man"? No, just kidding.
The country music was amazing.
It really was.
The band was amazing, and his two husbands that weren't gay. How about that?
I know, right?
Oh my,
How does that work?
I don't know how he pulled them. They're young too.
he had something going for him.
So
Interesting show to say the least. I'll say that. Interesting show.
Who's the next guest on the show?
We have Corey Marks on Thursday and Mark Wahlberg, I think, the following week. Is that true, Julie, or no?
We're working on Corey Marks is for sure. He is a country rocker. He is going to play for us a little bit on Thursday, and then next week we are working on something special. Yes, there's some special guests in the works. Who else? We also had the Scooter Brown band.
Did you? Is it? So we're not. It's not confirmed. That's a big guest.
I put pressure on him.
I just don't know when that's going to happen. It is cheap. Yes, we're working toward that.
I hope he's watching.
So if you're watching, stay tuned. We'll have more to follow on that. But then we do have Corey Marks. He has this a song that's charting right now. And then we have Scooter Brown band coming, and we have
Scooter Brown, not the band.
What? Just Scooter Brown. Oh, just Scooter Brown, not the band. I'm sorry, you're right. And then who else do we have, please?
Travis Smith. He's an Army National Guard veteran and also a former exchange associate. So he has seen both sides.
Good guess.
He's charting the
Make sure Mark Wahlberg knows that he followed me.
I'll be sure to tell him.
Make sure you tell him.
Chief will let him know.
Next time you're in Dallas, Max, next time you're in Dallas, you need to come to the building. Mark visits us when he comes to Dallas.
Yeah.
Does he really? Yeah.
He does.
Yeah,
Yeah. Stop by and see us.
Visit us too. We'd love to have you.
Where are you guys based? Where are you based out of?
Dallas.
Oh, at Dallas? Great. What town?
Next time you're in Dallas, you come through. We'll give you a tour of the building. You get to hang out, see how everything works behind the scenes. It's pretty cool.
I will do that. I'm down there a lot. So
yeah, we have about 15 military who work in the building in Dallas and 30 dispersed worldwide. So it'll be a great opportunity to meet the military members here and chat with them, and meet the associates too that work in the building. They'll be happy to see you.
I will do that.
Hey, there is one question. Somebody did ask, do you visit any military installations? It was way back at the beginning. I don't know if you saw it.
You're right.
But do you visit installations like autograph, do signings, or anything of that nature?
I have done that in the past. I haven't done it in a little while. I've just been when I was on the unit, there were a lot of opportunities to do that, and then just as in the last few years, I seem to find myself always on the road somewhere traveling and just not having the time to do it. But yeah, I'm always open, for sure.
Hey, Max.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
How do you think that your home gym will compare with Mark Wahlberg's?
Is that a question?
It is a question.
These weights are my weights are from 1983. That's funny. How old is Mark Wahlberg? Is he
Julie?
50 now?
What? I think he's closing in on the big 5-0.
Is he?
Yeah, I think he's closing in on that. He might still be in his 40s.
He's in his
closing in on it. Yeah.
Hey Siri, how old is Mark Wahlberg? Hold on one second.
Oh gosh. Just get it from Siri.
Hey Siri, how old is Mark Wahlberg?
Mark Wahlberg is 48 years old.
Oh wow, you're right. What was he, 12 when he came out? That's crazy. He's younger than I am, bastard. All right.
I was gonna say y'all are probably about the same age.
Yeah, 48. Well, he's a good guy. I've met him once, and he I know he has a big heart for the troops. That's great that he comes out. So
he does have a big heart for the troops, for sure.
But so
And so
so
do you. And
Max.
so do you. You do as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Max, you got any last words? Anything you want to share with the audience? I don't know. Do we have any more questions from the field, Leah, before we have any more questions?
We don't have any more right now.
I just, I've, again, just to reiterate my thanks to everyone that is serving and that has served and that is, working for the country against this fight against COVID. And it's so important that we, stay together and unify and get through this thing. It's a monster, and hopefully we don't get a second wave of it. Let's get through it and get back to work and life as we knew it. So, thank you.
Yes. Awesome.
Hey, Max, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on. I know all the people out in Facebook land appreciate you coming on, and a big thank you from the military service members, their families, and veterans. Thank you so much for all you do. They appreciate it. Thank you. Leah, Julie, any last words?
Thank you. It was such a pleasure to talk to you. You're really entertaining. We had a really great time. Thank you for being our inaugural guest beyond Chief here. It was really special to have you. Thank you.
You guys are awesome. Thanks so much.
Awesome.
Hey,
Thank
take care,
you.
Max.
All right, see
So
ya.
we're gonna end with the trailer.
Oh yes, the trailer. Oh,
As a younger man,
There we go.
I'd still be fighting
bye.
the Warriors.
Do we stay on while it's playing?
11 years.
They can't. It's over, right? They can't. We're done. They can't see us, right?
Yeah, just they can't see us, but just stay.
Everything in my life.
All right.
Okay, we'll stay.
My gear went to war.
You sure they can't see us? Where we were talking, and they're gonna.
I know we're still live.
We're still live.
Oh, we're still live. Oh,
Keep smiling.
Purpose.
There we
She's
go.
playing the trailer now.
Got one here too. Thank you for your service. Now get off my premises.
I see it.
It's your turn, brother. You gotta talk.
How will we know when it's over?
Just keep
Mama told
smiling.
me that you got sick during the war. She said you had to go away.
Not bad. Good, good.
Look, just because you didn't take a bullet over there doesn't mean the mission's over.
You know, I did that on purpose, right?
We'll add that. We'll add the trailer to the comments as well, you guys.
You'll add the trailer to the comments?
Yes, because we've been talking over it the whole time.
Oh, great.